I feel like the bad guy in a Hallmark Christmas movie, Part 4. Please note that this is a work of fiction, and should be treated as such. Part 3 can be found here https://www.reddit.com/r/stories/s/yk5yh8k9t. Since my ex-fiancée Amy broke up with me, I've been doing my best to carry on with my life, but it's hard. Thanks to social media, I keep on seeing little glimpses of the wonderful life she has without me. It's the life I wanted with her, and all I get to be is a witness to it. It's been 4 years now since I last saw any post about Amy's happy married life. My therapist recommended that I get off all social media, as anyone who you've emailed or called will end up as a friend recommendation. So I've deleted everything except for LinkedIn, and I'm much happier for it. My work life is going well. I got the promotion, then I was promoted again a year later. Then last year I was headhunted, and I'm now the CFO of a national home goods retailer. Romantically though, my life is a complete mess. I struggle to maintain relationships, I unconsciously push women away, and I can only really maintain casual or superficial relationships, which the women who I attract do not want. I'm working on it with my therapist, and I know that it's not every woman is going to let me down like Amy did, but it's always at the back of my mind that it's going to happen again. As part of my role, I like to make regular visits to each of our branches, to meet with the accounts departments and find out how things are going on the ground. It was early December, and I just finished a meeting with our team at the Minneapolis office. I went to the airport to fly back to Chicago, and would you believe it, all flights canceled due to a snowstorm again. This time was different though. I just rescheduled my flight for tomorrow evening, went back to my hotel, and booked another night. The next day, I checked out again, and with a few hours to go, I thought I'd get some lunch and do some shopping before my flight. I was sat in a coffee shop eating a sandwich, then someone called my name, and I looked round to see Amy stood behind me. It had been 4 years since I last saw her, and Amy had changed a lot. She was no longer the confident career woman I'd known, she looked careworn and tired. But she had the same bright smile that it had hurt so much to see in hers and Danny's wedding photos, and she seemed genuinely pleased to see me. So in the same way I invited her to sit with me at the airport, I invited her to my table and got her a coffee. It turns out that Amy was in Minneapolis for a friend's birthday, her first night out in a while, and as she'd been early she'd popped into the coffee shop to get out of the cold. There was a certain cruel serendipity to our meeting, and I'd have preferred not to have run into her, but this was nothing that I couldn't talk through with my therapist. If I'm honest, a part of me knew how the conversation was going to go, and I wanted to hear what Amy had to say. Amy apologized again for the breakup. Her mother had been in her ear nonstop about how dangerous Chicago was, begging her to move back to her hometown, and Amy had started to believe her. Then in the few days it had been just her in her hometown, her parents had gone out of their way to make sure that Danny and his daughter were invited to all their Christmas events. Danny was so nice and kind, his daughter was adorable, and everyone had told them what a cute couple they made. Then when I sent a text saying I wasn't going to be there on Christmas Eve, it made her so angry. She'd gone to Danny's event, and one thing led to another. This explained a lot. I knew her parents didn't like me or Chicago, and were pouring poison in her ear. All they'd needed to do was use the time away from me to work their magic. It's no excuse for her cheating though, so I didn't offer her forgiveness. Then when I asked how things had been since our breakup, she stopped smiling. The first year with Danny was great, but once she'd had their child, things changed a lot. Both sets of parents wanted her and Danny to give them grandchildren, but neither of them wanted to babysit or help look after them. It also turns out that a self-employed furniture business owner has long working days, so Danny was not really around. So Amy had to look after the baby on her own. She'd lost her job as they only allowed a month of maternity leave, and then they'd stupidly forgotten to use protection, and Amy got pregnant again a few months later. So now Amy is a stay-at-home mom to 2 young children, and a stepmom to Danny's daughter, who does not like that she has to share her dad with her step-siblings, and makes it very clear with her tantrums. With only one income coming in, money is tight, and any job Amy applies for, she's told she's overqualified. Danny has a lot of good qualities, but one of them isn't forward planning. Hope and enthusiasm will only get you so far. So his business is struggling, he has to open and close most days, and she hardly gets to see him. The area they live in is struggling economically, and handcrafted furniture is a luxury a lot of people can't afford. So they hardly see each other, and when they do their tempers are short from exhaustion and worry, and more often than not harsh words are exchanged. At this point Amy had to stop as her eyes were tearing up, but her face said all that needed to be said. She'd chosen a life that had turned out to not be what it was supposed to. It was so different from the life we had planned, the life she had told me she wanted. I don't know if she'd lied to me about what she wanted, or if she'd never truly known what it was she wanted to be. Then when Amy asked me how I was doing, I didn't know what to say at first, but then my therapy sessions took over, and in a calm measured tone, I told her I wasn't doing well too. I have trust issues, I struggle to build relationships, I can't open up to people, and every time I date someone, I have a fear in the back of my mind that they are going to leave me. I didn't make eye contact with Amy during this, I just looked at my sandwich, but I heard her start to sob quietly beside me. We didn't say much for the next few minutes. Amy needed to compose herself, and I frankly didn't have much more to say. Then Amy apologized again. She didn't realize how badly she hurt me. She thought I'd be okay after a while. She was selfish and caught up in the moment. It was all just more excuses, but I listened. But then she said something that rang true, that she'd ruined both our lives. All I could do was nod in agreement to this, as she had. We could have built a good life together, but she let loneliness and her mother's badgering ruin it. Maybe I shouldn't have invested so much hope in her, but you don't really get to choose how badly you fall for someone. We stayed silent for a while after that, then Amy looked at me. She looked as though she was going to say something I didn't want to hear. So I told her she's got a party to attend, and a family to go home to. And Amy nodded, gathered her things and left. And I let her go. I let her go because I knew what she was going to ask, and though we are both unhappy with the lives we've built for ourselves, I'm not going to let her destroy hers to chase a dream from years ago. I thought about her as I took my cab to the airport. Even in my darkest moments, I hoped she was at least happy with Danny. Now that I know she regrets her actions, it makes me wonder, was there any point to the last few years? I was blessed with an empty seat next to me on my flight home, so I had time to think. All I know is that I need to start living my life better.